3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome back to another episode, everybody. Welcome back to Nick Lamb as well. I think everybody's been on a bit of holidays. It's been a long time since we've done a show. And as you can see, there's actually 3 of us. So I guess this is just 3 camera guys today.
Yeah.
Am I a camera guy? Wow. I've been invited into the fraternity.
You boss camera guys around. That counts.
Yeah, it's got to count for something, right? Nick, it's been a while. Before we jump into things, I know you've been busy. You've been working on house stuff, which is why we're also starting at 9 o'clock tonight instead of 8 o'clock.
Yeah, sorry.
How do you feel about that time? Do you think 9 p.m. at night is the appropriate time to live stream?
It's a good time. Our numbers show it.
And also with that, you'll notice we're back on StreamYard right now by the thing up there. Do you want to explain what happened there at all, Nick?
I did say, okay, so I don't want to say who said they were going to put in the time to learn OBS Studio, but one of us said we were going to do our best to learn OBS Studio. And we just couldn't quite figure it out. It's a little more complex than you'd think.
As a collective.
Yeah. And not enough effort was put into it. Now we're back on StreamYard.
Yeah, but I think
our third email account, so it's another week of free.
Yeah, I think we'll hit up OBS again, right? You and I actually have to get time to sit down and do it. But actually, I was kind of mentioning that at the start. What have you been up to? You guys were busy with Leroy and Leroy.
Yeah, so we went down to his wife is from Boston. So he thought, how can I get a free vacation through the Leroy account? And so he drove down, half of a vacation paid for. So he drove down there, and then I flew down and we drove back. So yeah.
That's thinking. Myself, we did, I think since our last show, we did our big like chasing yesterday trip as well, but I literally haven't done a thing since with any camera stuff. Well, I shouldn't say that. The riders shot a baseball game, a bunch of other small things.
How many kilometers did you put on the?
I did like a big post of it. We ended up putting on 1,800 kilometers, and I broke down like a bunch of other stuff on the post. It was actually semi-interesting just to see.
So that's further than Vancouver, 1,800 kilometers.
Yeah, it was a lot. And yeah, took our trip was initially planned to be like a day and a half or 2 days max, and it took us 3. So
1,800 kilometers in 3 days. Wow.
Yeah. Some hard days and some hard weather too. We got rained on, which actually was funny because it's before all the storms we're having now. Ryan, yourself, you guys have been busy. What have you been up to lately?
Professionally, I've been to quite a few things. I just got back from a rodeo last weekend, and we finished out the curling season pretty strong. We were in Ontario twice and Saskatchewan, and we've had just like a flush of miscellaneous shows that kind of come up, and we have to kind of deal with them. We did an entire streaming segment. We did like 5 days of streaming 4 different stages for Highland dancing, like the International Highland Dancing Competition. So people from all over the world were watching that. I mean, that was very utilitarian. Like that wasn't exactly like high production value, but I've been doing that. And then personally, my wife and I sold our home, and we're currently living on a farm outside of Regina, which is, let's just say we're not used to the lack of convenience of living the rural lifestyle. It's been an adjustment, but we get our new place in a couple of weeks here, and we're very excited about that.
Nice. We're going to touch on that farm thing in a second, but before I do, something we've never actually talked about was IKS had kind of a big role with Saskatchewan Place what is it even called now?
Sasktel Center.
Yeah, whatever it is in Saskatoon. And the Saskatchewan Rush. Do you maybe want to explain a little bit of that?
Okay, so IKS and its sister company, DDG, which stands for Display Development Group, has designed, retailed, programmed, and delivered in-venue large format LED scoreboards for basically every major venue in Saskatchewan now. And so Sasktel Center was kind of the last one that we had to do. And so we, in a matter of 4 days, we dismantled their old one, built a new one, reconfigured their control room to do it, and then we're supplying technology and expertise to operate it for the remainder of the season, while also doing their rush hour live pregame show, which was going to YouTube and Facebook, which is like a 1 hour kind of like setup show that it was very clip heavy and highly produced. So we're doing both of those things, and I think that was a pretty big success. But the Sasktel Center is a pretty versatile building, and so as soon as the Rush game was done, the next day there was a Blades game, which, I mean, the new score clock has like 16 surfaces, so like just the amount of content to get ready for another game the next day. And then as soon as this
yeah, Ryan was talking about like the expertise side of things as well. So that's like our good buddy Jordan Blodgett has been going down there for that and doing stuff.
For a second there. It's one thing to have a lot of those things, but also having the ability for the system to ingest the live scoring data is quite the feat to start with. So.
Yeah. I was just saying too, when you cut out there that like Jordan has been a part of that talent you've been sending. One other thing to sort of mention just about the talent like that IKS has I don't know if produced or found is the right term, but a guy like Bryce, who has been working his butt off with Dome and a bunch of other places lately, Bamboo shooting and still doing stuff with IKS. So he's been running ragged. Jordan heading to Saskatoon and Nick and I, who have publicly vowed our disownment of Jordan if he actually does move to Saskatoon ever. Yeah, there's been a whole pile of those other guys.
Clear which side of the fence we were on.
Yeah, exactly. Now back to this farm thing. So you're out at the farm, Ryan. What are you currently using for internet out there?
So IKS has a Starlink unit that typically travels with our number one mobile and is on the RV package. So what it does is for any venues that we go to where like shore internet or venue internet is either unprovided or not sufficient, we are able to supplement with Starlink. So I just took it and I'm using it here until we get into our new home, which I obviously, believe it or not, I checked with Sasktel before we put in an offer to make sure that there was fiber internet at the location. It was a deal breaker.
Your Starlink's working flawlessly. I don't see why.
Yeah, sure. It hasn't froze or cut out or anything.
Yeah, there's part of the problem with the Starlink here is there's too many trees.
I was gonna say, like, what kind of weird vortex?
Did I cut out there?
Yeah, you absolutely cut out.
Part of the problem here is there's too many trees, and I could mitigate that if I mounted it on the roof of the house, but I'm only going to be here for a few weeks, so it's literally just sitting on the ground pointed at the sky right now, obstructed by trees. So there's a little app that tells you it's like every 41 seconds you're going to have a dropout of 2 seconds. So that's why I was like, I'm not sure if this streaming thing is going to work so good. But here we are.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. What we brought you on for is actually sort of the last subject I want to touch on. So I do want to go through a few quick things before we get to that. And, jumping on that Starlink kind of concept, this past week, the James Webb telescope released the first photos from it.
Yeah.
Did you guys get a chance to see those? And what were your thoughts on them if you did?
Let me bring them up.
Do you actually have them?
Bring them up.
Are we just going to wait in silence until you get them?
Gonna pretend like they wasn't working.
Do you know what? I can probably bring them up, Nick. Did you actually see them?
Okay.
I've seen them all.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
What do you think of them, Ryan?
Well, obviously they're very amazing, but I also feel like they were kind of preliminary images. Like I feel like the James Webb is capable of far more than that. But the thing that was truly amazing, just like with Hubble, was that deep field image. Like the idea that things are that far away, and the light that's getting here that we just took a picture of took, X number of hundreds of thousands or millions of years to get here. So it's literally looking back in time. Like what we're seeing happened that many years ago is just, I mean, like Carl Sagan said, somewhere something awesome is waiting to be discovered. And everywhere you point that thing, you see something incredible that you would have no idea was there unless you pointed it out. And that's just, I don't know, that's just a warm, fuzzy feeling for, I think, everybody, if you ask me.
Yeah. Nick, your thoughts on it?
Kind of reminds me of, those, did you ever make art with M&Ms where you get like the red ones and the blue ones?
Oh man,
NASA's pulled the wool over our eyes. It's not a space telescope. It's
I think there's a piece of macaroni right there.
Yeah.
Somebody glued an acorn onto it.
What really got me was actually this photo here. And like what got me about it, I think this is the same one you're talking about, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
So when you're looking at this, you're like, okay, cool. There's, some stars and some blobs and stuff. But like to put this into perspective, each one of those blobs are universes. Like that's the entire, galaxy. Yeah. That's the entire Milky Way, like right there type idea. Right. Like, and we can't even like fathom the size of our own galaxy, let alone the hundreds that are in this picture. And that's like mind boggling to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing that got me on it. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about it, is just, they are kind of impressive, amazing photos. And, some of the comparisons they did between the Hubble and the James Webb were pretty interesting as well. So it'll be interesting what we do get from this thing in the future as well.
So how do they compress? I guess it's the disk. Yeah, I just having trouble. Like I have trouble shooting 4 people in a frame without squishing everybody together.
So how did they get all those galaxies?
Yeah, all of it into one. But
the thing is, like, this isn't a panorama of the night sky. This is like a pinprick with a 12 million times zoom lens. It's not.
Yeah, that's crazy.
This isn't all the galaxies. This is just one tiny pinprick.
Like Ryan says, like think of it like a pinpoint thing of how many galaxies are actually out there.
Yeah.
Like it's mind-boggling. It really is. Nick, the other thing I wanted to talk about, actually, I'm going to say you wanted to talk about, was this concept of a influencer media package. Because you guys are kind of in this thing here. So this is a thing from Hootesuite. Obviously, they deal a lot with that sort of stuff. So they sent this out a while back, and I sent it to you. Do you remember it, Nick? After, I feel like it's actually been a month since
it's been a while. I looked it up recently, when I say before, when Ryan was talking, I looked it up.
Yeah. So actually, quick questions do you know how many followers Leroy has?
I've got a good idea on TikTok. I don't know Instagram off the top of my head.
And what are they?
So TikTok's like 420,000. Instagram's 200 and some thousand.
Do you know your engagement rate?
No.
So we're off to a good start. It's a good start.
TikTok isn't particularly forthcoming with that information.
Okay.
I think they list theirs as like a percentage or something like that, but I'm not sure exactly what it means, to be honest.
Okay. How about your general audience demographics? Do you know that?
That I know to a certain degree, because Instagram's pretty good at letting you know that. I think our big ones, like 25 to 35 or something like that. It skews more male, and our number one
doesn't skew male much, does it?
a bit more than you think. I think it's like 60-40 or something like that.
That's not bad, actually.
Calgary's our number one city.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it's about 50% US, 50% Canada. But Calgary has the most stuff. And I think Saskatoon's the number one city in Saskatchewan for us, if I remember correctly.
Our so like with chasing yesterday, our stuff, it's kind of weird. So our number would be 30,000. The engagement rate is actually like through the roof. It's like 10%.
Yeah,
like,
your guys' engagement rate is
it's stupid.
Ridiculous.
Like most people are getting like 2 to 3%
off
best.
of a photo. It's just like, it's amazing what you guys are doing there.
I think that comes down to like our next section, the demographics, and we're really hitting the right demographic for it.
Yes.
And you know, for to be blunt about it, it's, you know, there's a lot of older people who are remembering the past along with us, and they get nostalgia about it. So like,
fantastic.
It really hits them where, you know, their heart is, so they're compelled to hit the buttons and leave comments. The other reason
Tip on PayPal for you and sign up to your
I wish. I did so for our last trip I did a what do you call it, a GoFundMe thing to try and get money for it, and like literally no one did it. Big Red sent us money. That was it. Are
you serious?
Yeah, I felt
Did
bad.
you give him his money back?
I wanted to, but it was too late. It was too, like, I did the thing a week before we left, and I couldn't really control it.
How much did Big Red donate to you?
I think it was $50.
Good for him. Wow. That's awesome.
The reason I initially sent this to you, Nick, is because I talked to you about trying to maybe use Leroy and Leroy as an influencer for our organization. And you gave me this shabby email of stuff. And I was like, I can't go to my boss with this, Nick.
So what I need to do is I need to go through all of this and fill it out piece by piece so that you can actually pitch it. Because the thing that I didn't understand was that it's not like, you get it, but you need to have data and a bit of a presentation to back it up. So kind of eye-opening.
And get into these things too, like where you're putting your rates, the photos. Although I really think a photo of Leroy behind the camera could be a comical stance you guys put into it, you know, like photo missing or something like that. Anyways, following this whole thing that is on Hootesuite is ultimately what businesses are looking for. So if you are an influence out there or trying to hit the influencer stage or market, these are sort of the things that you should be looking at to do it. And Hootesuite, they're a great spot for all sorts of information like this. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is the thing I wanted.
And there's different.
You didn't want to finish that thought, Nick?
Oh, sorry. I just was going to be quiet so you could keep talking. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm learning. I'm learning
about this influencer stuff.
Yeah. So basically, what would be interesting is, I think it'd be fascinating. Remember Kelsey?
Yep.
If you were to make up a kit, send it by somebody like her that kind of knows this stuff inside out. That's actually what we should do with Leroy and Leroy.
I bet Kelsey actually has like her own kit and her own templates and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So, because she used to work with a company who was like doing that sort of stuff.
Isn't there a certain level of irony about talking about a kit and a template where everybody kind of looks the same and acts the same in a space where we're talking about creativity? Like, isn't this part of the problem that we're going to talk about in the next segment?
It's actually kind of funny that you say that. So our next subject we want to talk about is that exact problem with social media and whether or not social media is killing creativity. So this first came across my desk after this after all these commercials, but this is a video from Struthless on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he starts breaking down the problem with the internet that no one's talking about. And ultimately, it is how this over time we've changed into these creators and these social media companies, and everybody's doing things for money, and that's sort of ruined creativity. So
Yes, terrible.
So you have these YouTubers or like TikTok stars like Leroy and Leroy doing things to feed the algorithm, so to speak.
We're not. We're just going out and making funny videos. That's all we're doing.
Yeah, Nick, do you want to touch on that? So like, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about, and this isn't the only place that is doing it either. I'm going to bring up my emails when I get
like,
some
we
time.
don't really talk about the algorithm or what's going to go viral or anything that much, because stuff we've thought is going to do great doesn't do great. Stuff we didn't think is going to do great doesn't do great. Like, does great. We've kind of just gone back to trying to make funny videos, like just because that's, go out there and have fun. It sounds silly, but that's kind of what we've been doing.
I think that's maybe a little bit unique in the influencer community, because I think the influencer is forced in the pursuit of taking seriously the reach or the power that they've been given, that they need to understand the rationality behind what they're doing. And I think Leroy and Leroy is not maybe like alone, but a little bit uniquely positioned, that you guys don't need it to be. Here's my cat again.
Yeah.
Classic. It would be a Ryan episode without
right? Yeah. Ryan's saying something serious. Let's get a cat in there and make sure make sure it doesn't land.
Yeah. Quick, take a screen grab so we can have our thumbnail again.
Yeah.
But like, I think there's a certain expectation of responsibility from the creator that's amassed a certain following to try and understand and to try and work to expand and grow that, and work with the technology and the quote unquote algorithm in order to continue to grow. Whereas I think you and the other Leroy are uniquely positioned that you just don't totally care. You're doing it for you, and that's a form of creativity and not just a business where you're trying to chase the next video that gets X number of likes or clicks or whatever to satisfy your deck that you pitched to Emery's work that said you were going to get them 500,000 views of that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's a little bit unique.
Ooh, that's actually interesting. So say Nick does do something like that with our company, does that all of a sudden like take away from it, you think? Or does Nick have to work in order to keep their sort of authenticity and creativity?
What is art? Or does that by nature make it not art and make it utilitarian? Is art always just this is art always just an expression? If there's any monetary value attached to it, does that detract from it? Like, we're asking really, really big questions here, like questions that have been around since the Renaissance,
Yeah. Well, and when you look at like big art, the Renaissance art, or something by Van Gogh or whoever, it goes for millions of dollars. So it is big money.
But they were destitute when they were alive. Like, does the artist really have to starve in order for it to be art? Or if the artist makes a wage or makes money off of their creation, does that somehow detract from its artistic nature or its expressive, become utilitarian? Does it become less?
Yeah. I think those thoughts are, I think that's like super interesting, because I think that's where I battle a lot of time, because you're kind of stuck in a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing. So like chasing yesterday for me is like a whatever thing. I just do it as I can or as I please. I would like Black Ice to take off, but the amount of effort I put into it is nowhere near it is. And I kind of refuse to do some of the things that you're supposed to do. So like it doesn't grow. And I think it would be like
you made that
incorrect
one
of
YouTube
me.
video.
Yeah, but I think it would be like incorrect of me to think of it as something that would grow eventually. And I am, so then am I trying to be a starving artist? Like that doesn't seem to make sense either then, right? So what am I doing?
So I think we need to define some terms then that art art is more so defined by motive than by success, right? So if the motive of the production is to increase interactions with the algorithm, then
I'm assuming what he's saying there, then that could be considered art.
So if you're, I think he would be saying if the motive is to increase the algorithm, that it wouldn't be art. Isn't that what he would be saying?
No. Like if your motive was to work with the algorithm, how you work the algorithm's your art.
Oh, you're thinking that. See, I was thinking that he would be saying that it's a utility, then it's not necessarily art if you're just trying to work the algorithm. Essentially, when we say algorithm, the main thing that I've seen with the algorithm right now is duration. So it's like, how long can you get somebody to watch a video? Like that's essentially the algorithm, is how long are you watching this video?
Do you feel like you're making the same stuff as everyone else, Nick?
I don't know anybody that like the same jokes yet. Like I don't think there's stuff that's terribly new, but I think it's a unique thing to a certain degree, but it's also very Canadian. So I don't know. It feels somewhat unique to us, but I don't know. Maybe that's I want to say yes, but maybe not. It's not like we're just going out and showing stuff that exists. So
yeah, it's funny you say that too, because like that's kind of the position I feel with Chasing Yesterday and having the following there. What's actually unique about it is how we've packaged it and put it out there, and people have attached to it. But like our photos aren't that unique. We're not doing anything special photography wise. I mean, Susan's using her iPhone.
Yeah,
we're not. We're taking pictures of the same buildings that other people before us have taken, right?
A unique thing that I say all the time, I've said it for years, is like, I said for years that Myers was comedian level funny. Like I'd been saying that since we were like 21 years old. It's like, it's really fun. And the funny part, I feel somewhat vindicated.
Haven't you known him since you were like 10?
Yeah, well, he got funnier. Like once we were 16 or whatever, we'll say. I don't know. But everybody, and including him, would be like, shut up, Nick. Like, he's just or whatever. He's not that funny. And I'm like, no, he's actually really funny. And I feel somewhat vindicated after this long.
Yeah. The other weird thing too with Leroy and Leroy, I think you guys were put in a weird position too, which I don't think many, especially if you're going out to try and be a YouTuber or be some sort of creator on Instagram or TikTok or whatever. You guys went out, did what you wanted to do, and it took off from there. So like that whole scenario is different than trying to hit and be like so many people are. And which gets me also thinking about like, again, I guess it's more like that motivation and how that affects it as well, right? Like, so is it harder to try and do it? And should you just be authentic to yourself and do what you want anyways?
That's interesting, because if I was going to do something on my own, let's say, or let's say that you and me were going to actually do something serious, it would be a camera thing.
Yeah.
But it would feel very different version of Peter McKinnon, or maybe, name any of those photographer vlog kind of people, but that's what I would be doing on that side. So yeah, I that doesn't answer the question, but that would be more the route that I would personally go.
So then you would end up doing what everyone else is doing.
I think so.
Isn't that crazy though? Like when you think about it, you're just like, what's wrong with me? Where did my creativity go that I'd just be the other Peter McKinnon?
Yeah.
But, okay, hang on though. Is that a loss of creativity, or is that a categorization of style and substance? Like there's only one Monet, but there was thousands of expressionist painters. Do you know what I mean? So like there's only one Peter McKinnon, there's only one Philip Bloom, but documentary is a genre of
I'm trying to figure out the name of the book here. It's like 12 technologies that will rule the world or something like that. It's by a guy, I believe he used to work for like Wired magazine and stuff like that. But one of them in there is actually remixing. So like, that's the other thing. If you're just the next Peter McKinnon, is that just like a remix?
Well, like his idea wasn't new. Like he wasn't the first guy to think of, let's make a video about making videos. Like he was just the first one to do it in such an entertaining way. Like Philip Bloom was doing it before Peter McKinnon was doing it. But yeah, I don't know if there can. It's so hard to say because it's like it's a weird mix where he really is a perfect guy for that job. As much as people make fun of him or get down on him, like he's so good at what he's doing in that role. It's just amazing.
So now with that said too, you've got this thing that I see with, I see it with YouTubers. I don't necessarily see it with others, but I imagine it does happen to other influencers where you have like Peter McKinnon has even done it, like where he's come out and said like, yo, I gotta do some things for me sometime. And so he says he does that. I don't know if I necessarily see it.
And then he says his documentary's taken him 10 years to make.
Yeah, right. But I mean,
he gets done.
He does have some of his other stuff. Like this is really super dated, but he did that bucket list shot thing that he wanted to do in the mountains and stuff like that. But my point is all of them struggle with that idea of like doing for YouTube versus doing for myself.
Well, yeah, and they all talk about burnout, don't they?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's because they're doing it on their own, because a lot of them are like sole proprietorship kind of things.
Especially when you start out, right? Because like, how else are you gonna do it?
Yeah, and they'll have people working for them, but it's definitely a very solo kind of thing, So yeah, this to really make things sound depressive. I wonder if it's just a loneliness thing.
I think it is burnout and stuff like that. Ryan, I see you're moving again there. Have you heard us?
I listened to everything, and you guys talked about everything that I said when I was talking. And I wasn't going through. Like I was like, Peter McKinnon's not the first. There's Philip Bloom, so that's really just a genre. And then Nick was talking about Peter McKinnon and Philip Bloom. I was also like, well, there's only one Monet, but there was hundreds of expressionist painters. So, like, are we just talking about a genre? I also find, like, okay, so we're talking about Peter McKinnon. And
we'll hear you for a bit, and then you cut out, Ryan, and then we just roll with it. And then you come back and give us another topic.
And then when we actually hear you, Nick just cuts you off.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's a little bit ironic, but I want to just bring it up with specifically Peter McKinnon. When you make videos about making videos, isn't that an invitation to copy you? Like, isn't the whole genre an invitation to copy?
Yeah, I guess.
So,
sorry,
is there a loss of creativity when the invitation is for variation on a theme?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept too. I never thought of. So Ryan, if you had to give an answer, is social media or the way our media is shaping, are we killing creativity? Yes or no?
I don't like the word killing, and I know that that was a very Jordan Peterson thing to say, but Nick kind of talked about the motivation behind things, and I think method betrays motivation. And so if your motivation is to increase interaction or whatever with the algorithm, I think that betrays something. So if you start creating for the algorithm, you haven't killed creativity. Your motivation has cost you creativity.
That's very well put. So I'm going to put that in the maybe department. Nick, for yourself, how about yes or no? Is this ruining? Is social media? Is this stuff ruining creativity?
Talk.
Oh, there you came back slowly, but Nick, your yes or no answer.
For the most, I guess it depends what you call creative. Like we have this conversation a lot where a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'm not that creative," and meanwhile, I've just seen that same person deal with find a solution for 6 different seemingly unsolvable problems that they've been presented with over the last 3 months, and it's like, no, this person's an extremely creative person. They just are using a different word to define creative. Oddly, and I'll use a lot of social media stuff, and actually, it's funny how TikTok right now, it's almost replacing YouTube for learning in a weird way.
It's replacing Google.
From learning.
They've just released stats, and it's like people under 30 are using TikTok as their Google search machine. So they use it like 40% of the time. It's something ridiculously high.
So I have a quote on the board downstairs that says, people use the internet to learn things. Like, so that's what you go to the internet. It's skewing to entertainment more so now. But social media is, in a sense, like, it's just, to me, it's just becoming Google in a weird way. Like, it's not, maybe the other social medias that I'm involved in are more that way, but something like TikTok's oddly social and not social at the same time. It's weird. It's a strange one.
Yeah. So
it didn't answer
weirdly,
your question at all.
Yeah. Not even remotely close. There was never a yes nor a no in any of that rambling.
Have you ever taken media training where they'll tell you to have an agenda, take the question that you're given, somehow vaguely appear like you're answering it, say whatever you want to say? That's what it felt like there. No, I don't think it's killing it. I think I'm trying to picture it how I use it to get ideas on, to enhance my own creativity, but I don't like. I think that you're viewing it as, and you're good at this, Emery, is you can put yourself in somebody else's shoes and kind of experience it through them. So you're kind of putting yourself in Mark Dene's shoes and seeing the world through his eyes, where you're kind of living through it, like as if you were taking these photos and figuring out if you would be taking photos for yourself or for other people or for YouTube, or if you're not taking photos at all, you're really taking photos for YouTube. I think that's where the conflict comes in for you, because you do take photos for other people. I think that's a noble, good thing to do. I think that your concern would be more, am I taking them for the right or wrong reasons?
Yeah, am I being true to what this subject is giving me? So yeah, Nick, with that said too, where do you think I would lead on the yes or no answer? would I say yes or no to
Well,
the question?
I know what you would say for sure. You'd be like,
I actually think my answer would surprise you if
this.
that gives it away.
I think you'd be more get off my lawn. It's killing it. It all needs to get thrown out. Start fresh.
I'm actually, it's funny because I feel like there's a lot of myself in what you two have said, and I'm like a hard maybe. I don't know an answer. I actually think like realistically, we're probably like in a weird transitional state, and we're trying to figure that out. And in our lifetimes, we're never gonna see the end of that transition or where it actually goes. So I don't really have an answer, and I think that's probably what bugs me about it is I don't have an answer.
I watched this one strange channel. Well, it's not strange. It's called AO Fishing. And it's this guy that's just a character. Like, I absolutely love the guy. I don't even like fishing, but this guy's just a character and a half. But you can tell he's struggling with this thing because his channel's basically built around him buying absurd boats. And it's kind of like he's at the point of like, do I have to buy a boat for every video? Like, what is going on here? But
isn't that camera YouTubers in a?
It's basically that same thing. But the guy's got such a personality, and he's so good and so likable and just so funny. That I'm wondering, as the YouTube kind of genre evolves, like for Peter McKinnon, his is just going to be him going out and shooting, like, because he doesn't need a new camera to watch his episode, does he? Like, just same like with that guy, I'd be fine watching it if he was just going out fishing. I don't think he needs to get a new boat every time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. So we've asked this question, and we've basically, I think, done full circle and don't have any answers for everyone. Is that the moral of the story? Is that what's happened here today?
I would have said maybe had I known you were going to say maybe, but because I was sure you were going to say it was, I had to go hard the other way to try to balance it out.
One more thing, actually, Nick, if you want to share my screen there again, I shared a thing. So this is the book I was referencing before, Kevin Kelly. There's 12 different things, and right number 8 was remixing. It's actually a pretty good book if you ever want to read it. It's more like a philosophy rather than, I don't know, like saying some specific tech thing's going to take over. But the last thing I do want to talk about real quick before we jump off here is Stranger Things. Ryan, are you a Stranger Things fan? Have you watched?
No, not watching it. I watched the first season, and I recognized the pattern and decided I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Nick, you?
Well, I did. I get scared a little bit too easy. So I watched it, and then at the point where I had trouble sleeping, I had to stop watching it. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I wish I could watch it, but I can't.
Nick and I have talked about this before, Ryan, and I kind of think this is funny. But so Nick's wife is a big D&D fan.
Nick's into D&D too, sort of.
Anyways, I did not realize. Now, this is how dumb of a viewer I am. I did not realize that the entire plot and premise of Stranger Things was D&D until the 4th season. they like flat out tell you it in the first season, but it just like, I'm like, whatever, D&D, sure, it's a thing, and then whatever.
Why are these kids playing monsters? That's weird.
Oh man, speaking of monsters, did you guys read the bug thing I sent you?
Which thing?
The bug thing.
Yes. Yeah. Bugs are monsters. They're monsters.
How funny was that? I was laughing so hard at it. And yeah, there is basically like if bugs were big animals, we would just view them as monsters.
Oh yeah.
And then he had like them rated as like the worst bugs ever. It was
that's
killer
good.
Actually, my favorite was the 3 classifications, and sea bugs are delicious.
Yeah, there was tons of good stuff in it. Nick, you should read it. What's if you have a bug you hate, what is the bug you hate, Nick?
A bug. Those maple bugs drive me crazy.
Ryan?
Oh, there's so many. I live on a farm right now. There's so many gross bugs out here, but just mosquitoes. My blood is like cocaine for mosquitoes. It's just the worst.
Cocaine for mosquitoes. I like it. Mosquitoes would be up there for me too, but I think also in that would be horseflies. They're just jerks for jerks'
Yeah.
sakes.
Yeah.
That's my
Yeah, they're just
anyways, back to Stranger Things. What I wanted to talk about, so this article here is talking about Stranger Things being released, its last two things being a 2-part thing, which got me thinking, so like, why are they doing this? And this article is even talking about how they're trying to break up binging. So in other words, they can get 2 months out of you instead of 1 month when you just want to rent Netflix for a month and binge the most popular show. So we're going to see more and more of this. How do you feel about that?
Oh, did Ryan cut out? Yeah. I think they're just using more data now. Like the article kind of went into that, and basically was saying now that they have all of this data, that they can figure out how, when, and how much to release like optimally over time to keep people watching it. But yeah, it also did have the slightly nefarious, not really nefarious, it's their own show, they can do whatever they want, but even if you get more watching out of a single binge watching viewing, that having that extended viewership helped their bottom line more. It was an interesting article. I didn't find anything bad about it. It seemed like they were just trying to optimize their show that they have.
They've done it with several others as well.
Yeah, and that's what this is. It mentioned some other Ozarks and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
And they're it sounds like this is going to continue to be a trend. So there's this quote here that just says, when you stretch things out, when you string things along, you keep people engaged, and when you keep them coming back, and de-risk the possibility of binge following by a cold turkey quit. So
yeah. Interesting. So does everybody here have Netflix?
I do.
Are you ever thinking of getting rid of it?
That's part of my other problem. I've been trying to beat Netflix at its own game, and Netflix has been beating me. I was actually on another site, so I didn't know this, but you can actually download your entire viewing history to Netflix. Yeah. And I was on this other site that broke down like how many hours a week or whatever I watch Netflix. Mm-hmm. And my average was painfully low, like way lower than I thought it was. But I apparently only watch 71 minutes of Netflix a week.
71 minutes of Netflix a week. Okay.
I thought for sure it'd be like 120 or 180
per week.
I don't know. I wonder, would YouTube keep that stat?
Probably not.
They should.
Yeah. So I've actually been suggesting that we get rid of Netflix for a while, but it's been overruled, I guess. What would be the...
So wait a minute, though. If you get rid of it, do you get to add that money to your fund money?
Probably not. Interesting idea, though.
What's the impetus to get rid of it? Just to save $17 a month?
Yeah. Well, I watch, if you could go through it, and I would watch probably 5 minutes of Netflix a week, maybe 10. I just don't watch it.
My kid watches so much Paw Patrol. It's just...
That's why I think most people have these things.
But that'll change once they start watching YouTube. Like,
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's probably good enough for the night. It's almost 10 o'clock. We've done this long enough. Ryan, your Starlink is just going to hate you tomorrow, probably. After all this. So I think with that, we'll maybe sign off. Nick, do you got any closing remarks you want to leave us with?
That's Ryan.
Ryan, do you got anything you want to leave us with?
If I start saying something, I will cut out.
I did want
Oh man, that's too funny.
Real quick to get some camera guy talk in this, Emery. What's the do you
Oh, now Nick's cutting out.
have
Perfect.
like a favorite? Been doing baseball, football, hockey.
Do I have a favorite sport to shoot? Definitely hockey. I think probably one of the harder sports to shoot is baseball, which actually sounds surprising, I think, when people think about it. Football's relatively easy, but you get a pretty small scope of football for some reason, or at least I do. Maybe it's just a me thing.
Those end zone cams are very utilitarian in football.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's definitely hockey for me. I have more fun. I have more fun with the Pats. I have more fun with that crew.
I think baseball would be a lot of fun to do.
That's it, eh? Nick was just 2 words. Well, and then he stops. Pure gold. Nick Lamb, everybody. Yeah, baseball is pretty fun to shoot. It's a good sport, but it's difficult. I feel like you need 100 cameras for it. Yeah. You know, I had a sign off I was gonna do, Nick, and I completely forgot it. It was a callback joke to one of the things we were talking about before that we were laughing about. I don't know what. Anyways, yeah, I think with that, should we call our night? And now Nick's
frozen now, not me.
All right.
I'm the only one that's working.
Do you know what's funny is hopefully Nick's the one running this thing, so hopefully he can shut it down.
He just left. It's gonna be 3 hours long.
No. Well, thanks for coming out, everybody.
Thanks for joining us, Ryan. That was fun, as always, talking to you two.
Yeah. Remember to keep your batteries charged and your lenses clean.
Are you? Is that the guy from Nova Scotia, the weather guy? Get your snacks. Get your Pepsi. Get your hurricane chips. Keep your batteries charged.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, good seeing you guys.
Sorry, good night, everybody.
Part of it.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We were a tire fire on a good day.
All right. Cheers.
All right.